Hello everyone, welcome back to another art time lapse. I am working on a larger piece than usual today, and I'm really excited to share the video view of my entire process of a Studio Ghibli inspired snowy village. I've been really excited about doing this piece and been planning and thinking about how it will work out. So I'm really happy to finally put paint to paper and put it into perspective of how it's gonna look like. A lot of times I spent a lot of time just planning and like figuring out like the concepts and perspective, what characters I want to include. That process usually takes me like I don't know if I can amount it to hours. Could I do it during like a lot of spare time in between my breaks? But definitely, if not more or more equivalent to how much time I spend in painting. So anyways, this piece was inspired by this YouTube playlist that I often play on kind of on loop while I'm painting. I really enjoy Studio Ghibli inspired theme music, and there are a lot of like jazz theme and like easy listening for studying, and I really enjoy having this background music while I'm painting. So this painting is inspired by one of those playlists, and it's a Studio Ghibli theme one, of course, and the whole scene behind that playlist is of a snowy village, and I believe it's probably a snowy village somewhere in Asia, maybe in Japan possibly. It is inspired by the dark skies and the starry nights that lit this little town, this little village in the dark, and I was just so mesmerized by how whimsically beautiful it was. I decided to do a painting of it, and not just like do a painting of the architecture and the building and the village itself, but I also wanted to include various Studio Ghibli characters that would live in this world, live in this village together. After all, I think there is a fan theory somewhere out there saying how all those Studio Ghibli movies supposedly are inspired to live in the same worlds, and the characters can actually interact with one another, and I just thought that was so much magical. So here I'm using my gouache. As you can see in the beginning, I do plenty of dilution with my gouache to make it more like watercolor, transparent kind of style. And then as I layer on subsequent layers, I use less and less water ratio. If you're interested in learning more about my process or learning about gouache in general, I do have Skillshare videos where I teach step-by-step lessons, and I'll include the link in the description box below. And also, if you like the content on this channel, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It will really mean a lot. So as you're watching this art time-lapse video, you're noticing that there is light coming through my windows and the blinds, and it's constantly shifting and moving, and that's because the whole process of painting this kind of larger scale painting, it's went over the course of several weeks. I would say possibly over a month, and I try to do it for a few hours every weekend while my kids are napping, and I try to do what I can. It's pretty exciting seeing the piece slowly come into play. I think if I had put this video in real time and you watch me paint like the little windows and like the balcony, you might be bored by the entire process. So I mostly try to put art time lapse and speed up the process for you for the most part, so you can see how some of these paintings transpire from the beginning of these kind of blotchy watercolor stain to like finally the details of the building. It does give me a little bit of a Spirited Away bathhouse feel in terms of like the older Japanese building with the balconies. This one has like a little bridge that runs across the middle and a little waterway that runs across. You can see there's snow accumulating on the sides of the river as well as snow accumulating on some of the posts that are lining the side of the roads. At this point, I haven't really thought about exactly where all of the Studio Ghibli characters are going to live in this painting. I think I will figure it out eventually. I know what the cast of characters I want to include for sure. Of course, there's going to be a Totoro, but I think I want to put in some lesser known or not as popular characters that are really near and dear to my heart as well in this particular painting. Again, as I'm painting this, like I actually do secretly hope that like people will enjoy this type of artwork, and when they see it they will also be inspired to listen to some of the rich beautiful music that comes with the Studio Ghibli movies, and they will feel inspired by it when you see this painting and think of those arts of like music to the ears. So here you can see I'm using white gouache to add highlights, so you can see there's a little bit of reflection in the water, and then snow that are landing on the posts on beside the river and on the chains that connect the posts. I really love adding white highlights because that's when you see like the painting really sparkle and come to life. Now I'm adding on a little bit of apricot color to kind of give the buildings a little bit of a glow, a warm glow, rather than like this cool like yellow and blue and kind of burnt umber color. And adding a little bit of orange kind of show like there's warmth coming from the inside of the room despite it being very cold winter outside. I really hope this piece turns out. Last year I ventured to do a large piece similar to this that's also Studio Ghibli themed that encompasses a lot of the different characters in the movies. So I wonder if this is going to be an ongoing tradition that I'll do every single year, a Studio Ghibli theme one with like kind of homage to all the different movies and all the characters combined in one piece. If you're interested in that previous video that I did last year, that one is called Winter Tea Party, and I did it with also like with a winter theme and all the characters having a tea party in the middle of the forest. For this one, I've decided, of course, I need Howl's moving castle, and I'm gonna have the castle flying in the sky. Also included Princess Mononoke, the forest spirit, kind of roaming in the background as well. You can see I'm just using my fine brush to add some white colors to the night sky, so that later on when I add on the brighter colors, the colors will look a little bit more saturated and less dull. Here I'm adding in the face and the smile for the cat bus, because of course every painting is not complete without a cat bus if you're thinking it's going to be a Studio Ghibli theme piece. I'm currently debating whether this would be a worthy piece for an art print. Let me know in comments below if you think that would be a good idea. Honestly, I just enjoy the process so much of painting this. I feel very blessed, and like I think a lot of the joy that I get from the painting, I benefit more from it. Like just seeing it makes me really happy. It's really hard for me to describe. Here I'm actually doing the radish god that's gonna sit at the bridge next to Totoro. And as well in the sky, I need to make sure I dot a few stars, maybe a few falling stars as well. This painting is definitely a very big challenge for me, given that the number of structures, and I'm trying to make sure everything is super aligned, but at the same time I want the painting to have some authenticity with the traditional gouache that I'm using. I don't want it to be super structured that you can use lines that you can just draw on with the computer. I want it has like some sense of like, I don't know how to describe handmade or like craftsmanship related to it. I don't know if that makes sense. I do admire a lot of digital artists nowadays and the work that they can do. So in this piece I also want to show like what a traditional artist can do with their skill set as well. Not that you can, it's not necessarily comparing apples to apples. I think everyone's to each their own. But I hope this painting can really excel and like showcase some of that. Here, this character is actually from Spirited Away. I have him like sitting in the corner just chilling out, and I just love that, how he is so c'est la vie about the whole thing. And I'll try to do a better video at the end to show you all the different characters that I end up painting in this large snowy village piece. You can see that there is one some spirited away, like the welcome statue. There's also characters from Howl's Moving Castle. You can see there's the big baby, Princess Mononoke at the top, and then the suit sprite on the flag on the side, as well as Howl's Moving Castle, and just so many little characters that I added along the way. I hope you will enjoy this painting. If I do end up making it as an art print, that you'll enjoy kind of the aspect of exploring and what is there to be discovered in this piece. Well, that's it for this art time lapse. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in another video. Take care and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.